This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. Welcome to Come for Tea. Today is part 2 of our San Francisco tea, and we're going to be learning about some really delicious San Francisco sweets that we can put on our tea tray. So the first sweet we're going to get together for our tea tray, I call my North Beach Tiramisu Bites. And North Beach is an area in San Francisco where there's lots of great Italian restaurants. And tiramisu is one of my favorite Italian desserts. So what I've done is I figured out a way to make them into a bite-sized version for our tea tray. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get 1/4 cup of cold espresso coffee, and we're going to add to that about a tablespoon of dark rum. And we're just going to mix those together in a small bowl. So then I'm going to get a pound cake, a frozen pound cake, and I'm going to make some 1/4-inch slices of pound cake. Now, if you were going to be doing a large tea, you might want to slice up the whole pound cake. I'm only going to slice about half of it up. And then I'm going to separate them out into pairs, and that way it makes it easy for me to trim the crusts. So now that my cake is trimmed, I'm going to go back and cut each pair in half. So instead of the rectangles, I have little squares. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flop those open, and I'm going to get my espresso and rum mixture. And just with this little spoonful, I'm going to just drizzle each piece of cake with some of that rum and espresso mixture. This gives this cake just this wonderful flavor. Now that that's all taken care of, I'm going to go to the mixer and I'm going to get some mascarpone cheese, and I'm going to get about 3 ounces of mascarpone cheese and put that in my blender, and I'm going to start creaming that up. Now, while the mascarpone is getting nice and creamy, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, a pinch of salt, 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, and then for the flavoring, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla and another teaspoon of the dark rum, and I'm just going to let that cream together. Now, to make assembling these a little bit easier, just go ahead and take that mascarpone cheese and put it into a small dish. And then just get 2 little spoons and put a little dollop on half of the cake of the mascarpone cheese, and then get a little cocoa powder in a sieve and just kind of tap some cocoa powder on top. And then take the other half of the cakes, and with that espresso and rum side down, put that other piece of cake on top of the mascarpone cheese and just give it a little press down. Then we're going to go back and put another little dollop of mascarpone cheese on top of each of the little cake squares. And just find a little piece of chocolate, can be dark chocolate, milk chocolate, doesn't really matter, and take your little grater and just give a little grate of some chocolate shavings on the top, and that sort of finishes these little bites up. And then just pop those into the refrigerator until you're ready to serve them. Now for the fruit part of my tea tray, I'm going to use some beautiful sliced oranges, and I'm just going to cut them into nice thin wedges. And then for the Chinese part of San Francisco, I'm going to get some wonderful fortune cookies that they have at the grocery store. And then for my chocolate, it's got to be a piece of Ghirardelli chocolate. And those little squares you can find in just about every grocery store nowadays. Now today I'm also going to show you the type of tea I'm going to serve at this San Francisco tea. I'm going to use an Asian tea. It's called Pu'er Hummingbird's Nest. And what this is these are tea leaves that have been formed into this little teeny bird's nest, and then they're wrapped in paper and they're smoked in these caves. And what I'm going to do is take one of those nests and put it in my 4-cup teapot, and I'm going to pour water into the infuser. I'm going to let it steep for about 4 to 5 minutes. Now I'm going to take the infuser basket out, but I'm going to put it in a little cup because I can actually brew these tea leaves another 2 or 3 more times. But I'm going to set that aside, and then my tea is ready to go on the table. I hope you'll join me next time where I put this whole tea together with a lovely table setting. I'll see you then. For more information on this episode, go to our website and visit the Come For Tea show notes. Also, if you have any questions or ideas, send us an email. Thanks for watching. It's time for tea. Want to see what's going on behind the scenes at Harwood Podcast Network? Maybe you want to know what's going on with your favorite shows. You can follow us by going to twitter.com/Harwood Podcast. We have daily entries, photos, all kinds of behind-the-scenes info. We'll see you on Twitter.